Hey, today I'm gonna draw some weird space alien horror creature in pen and ink. But before I do that, let me break my coffee tradition and make a tea instead. I think that's something I've never done before here on this channel. But just like the coffee rabbit hole, there is a tea rabbit hole to go down in. And it's very deep. Yeah, it's just great to have a ritual like that. Even in the evening when I read or draw. And it's late, so I don't want any caffeine anymore. And you can only drink so much decaffeinated coffee before it gets kinda boring. Also a pro tip, always clean your workspace. Which should be obvious, but yes, I need that reminder myself sometimes. Now I have done some weird space slash sci-fi slash cyborg drawings in the last 2 videos. But I have one more idea that I want to get to paper before I switch it up again. And this idea is something that it's one of those images that you just, see flashing in front of your eyes before you fall asleep or something. Like, I have no defined version of it in my head, it's just like a blurry image, so I was trying to get it onto paper and experimenting with it a little bit. At first it looked kind of like one of those, what do you call them, seahorses, I think. These are just some small sketching, some thumbnail sketches before I get into the big drawing, into the actual big drawing. I also tried giving it a mouth, but I quickly abandoned both of these ideas. And I started out with a big circle, as the design is very round, very circular. And then I just started, giving it some weird skin folds and fat folds and whatever, and just making it look organic. Giving it this long tail that I saw hanging off it when I had this image in my head. It sounds very sick, just having images like this in your head. But it was shortly before I fell asleep. Maybe I did or did not have something in my system. I'm not gonna say anything. But this is just what you see. Sometimes, or what I see. It kind of reminds me, I think where it comes from for me is the Alien logo. The logo of the Alien series. It kind of looks a little bit, with the way it's curled in and so on, like this alien fetus. And I feel like some of these drawings should have like backstories. Like where does it come from? What is it? Why does it have cables attached to it? Is it growing, or is it just floating around somewhere? I don't know. This is a cool thing because you can think about things like that, and you can let your imagination kind of run wild. I'm a huge fan of science fiction. I've read a lot of science fiction books. I talked about science fiction books in my last video, so I'm not gonna go there. But let's just say I'm a big fan, and just weird images like that make you wonder, what the backstory is. What, how does it get there? What is it? The same of course with the head that I've drawn in the last video. And since there is no narrative, like I have no canon explanation for these things, they come from my imagination, they're my drawings, but yet I have no real explanation for them. And I think the cool thing is everybody can have their own explanation. Everybody can, just think about it. I'm gonna shade the cables, and as you can see, the shading is just like in the last 2 videos that I did. It's the thing that I do, these cables, and they're very, very simple. Here in this close-up you can see that they don't look very nice at all, or not very good at all. It's only when there's a lot of them and you step back a little bit and you don't look so closely that it all comes together, and it looks reflective. It looks it looks round almost from a little bit further back. So it's a great technique to just get some effective cables going. And I also decided to give it some more interesting points on the thing itself. So I'm adding some cables here and there, coming out of it, going back into it, and just having fun with that. Yeah, if you're interested in that style, you should definitely go to my Instagram and scroll a little bit further down. Most of these cable cyborg thingies I did before I even had YouTube. I mean, I had YouTube of course, but before I did YouTube like videos. That's where the style comes from, and I'm trying to revive it again. I've talked about it in the last few videos, the last 2, the one with the snail and the one with this cyborg space head. It's just floating around, hanging out in space. And just, when you don't have any reference at all, you can just let your imagination flow, and that's a wonderful thing. And always remembering to keep it organic, so that the contrast with the cyborg elements or with the technological elements is going to be even greater. And I also went down the UFO rabbit hole. I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan and the podcast. I've been listening to all the, UFO guests, the biggest ones, the most well-known ones, Bob Lazar and this US Navy pilot that saw some UFOs flying around, and then of course a bunch of other people. I don't really remember the names, but yeah, just an interesting rabbit hole we're going down to. And I've watched all the movies and documentaries on Netflix over the last couple of weeks, and I also love looking at the stars and everything. I'm kind of a freak for this whole stuff, this whole cosmic things, and I'm definitely no scientist, and I don't plan on becoming a scientist, because that's like very, very, like this academic road is like not for me. But what definitely is something for me is drawing those weird things. As you can see, like, this is what I love to do. And the last step in this drawing now is just to get out the good old ink bottle, my very best friend, and just, creating a nice background and making this thing jump off the page, making it pop. I decided against some stars and galaxies with a whiteout, like I did in the last video. I decided against that and just leave this thing floating around in some deep blackness, some abyss, or wherever it is, like a starless universe. But yeah, as I said, I'm a hobby scientist when it comes to those things, to the universe and everything. I love the documentaries and I love reading books about it, but actually going to university and studying it, that's just not me. So this is the finished product. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment. Just write, whatever you think about the video. I would really like to hear your opinions. What you think, would you like to see, and so on. Alright, so check out my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you around on the channel. Okay, take care, and bye bye.